Ken, thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
I have too many words. I am just so grateful to you for for what I've experienced personally from you, from what I've seen from hundreds of people while I was at the institute, how they learned from you and the changes that people made in their life. You know, especially since we're in a prostate cancer active surveillance group. I actually met several individuals who turned their stage 4 cancer back to no evidence of disease. It's not limited to prostate cancer. There are many people who go to OHI with many health issues, opportunities, and so I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you so much.
We're going a little over time. Ken, I wasn't going to ask you, would you be available for an extra 15 minutes?
Oh, absolutely.
To a half hour, because we're
Absolutely.
gonna have questions flowing. So
Yeah, I don't have to be at work for another hour, so no problem.
Great. So the questions are the chat box is open for questions. We just because of time constraints, we're not taking live questions, but please use the chat box liberally. I can see already they're kind of flowing in. I have one pre-question to ask you, Ken. You often, you talk about buying organic food. I buy personally, I'm in New York. I have access to farmers markets in the summer. I have access to vegan stores. I can buy organic. There are many, many people in the middle of the country in areas that aren't so fortunate to buy organic, to get the kinds of foods that you described. What would you say to, if people need to, obviously buy vegetables that are not organic? Do you recommend the vegetable washes that are on the market so that they can clean their vegetables, fruits of the toxins that you talked about?
I would say that would be, for me, that would be a last resort if you really can't get organic. But if you can grow, even if you have a patio or a little bit of space, and start to grow some of the herbs we're talking about, or some of those things. But if you're looking for produce and there isn't a farmer's market and that has organic, then we have to do our best. And that's why I recommended the EWG Environmental Working Group, EWG.org, has what they list as the Clean 15. They have the Dirty Dozen, and those I would absolutely stay away from. They're the most heavily sprayed. And then they have the Clean 15, and the Clean 15 are usually thicker skinned. Avocados, mangoes, different things that might be on that list. And those I would recommend maybe following some of that. And besides that, if it were me, I'd move to a place that was, no, I'm just kidding. No, but I would be in a place, I would find myself in a place that supported more organic food, or get it. I know people that in the Midwest that have actually set up, because they'd have to drive 100 miles to get to a farmer's market or get to a place, that have actually started their own co-op, that the truck lines are there. Organic is being transported around the country. And there are people that have actually started, and they were welcomed into the community, and many communities that got together. And so they started their own co-op or farmers market. And so, we've got to find our way. So it might be difficult for some, but find a way. We really need to stay away from a lot of these toxins.
Great, thank you. Okay, so let's go into the chat box we have from Bill Wood. Bill asks, how do we get fiber into the diet without using whole grains? What about fish?
You said fiber?
Yeah, he said, how do we get fiber into the diet without using whole grains? What about fish?
Well, I avoid fish, and we haven't used or had any fish in 16 years. And I think there are ways to get the omega-3s, and chia seeds being one of them, flaxseed being another. So there are ways that will help our digestion, help our bodies. Fiber in general, you're going to get it if you're following through fruits, vegetables, herbs, things like that that have fiber in them. So you're going to get those, but it's the absorption and it's using certain foods. This is not a quick answer, but it is a more complicated answer. But fish, and especially if you're talking about the omegas from fish and things like that, and fish oil, fish is not part of our diet. So I can only kind of speak for us, but we get plenty of fiber in our diet through our smoothies, through even making chia puddings. There are many different ways to get the omega-3s. There's a wild food called purslane, Purslane. Purslane is the highest in omega-3s of any leafy green out there, and it's all over the world. I see it everywhere in Italy and Germany and in France, growing wild. Purslane is a great way to get omega-3s into your salads, into your diet as well. And of course, flaxseed oil and different things can help with that. But I don't, say that you have to go with the fish route. If you do choose fish, choose wisely. Really choose wisely. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I just have to briefly mention that I was crushed in a seminar in California when I asked Ken, because I love, I used to, eat, I eat Pacific salmon. And, he talked about how, Alaskan fisheries were discovering the fish that they were catching had tumors from the fallout of Fukushima. So that ended my Pacific salmon diet. So anyway,
Yeah.
Okay, on to William in Toronto. Question, you say no to soy. How about organic soy?
That's a better than. I would say organic soy is a better than. I think that with the variety that we have in plants, and like I just mentioned, the pumfu and using your pumpkin seeds, it's also high in protein as well. It's a different choice, but I don't miss the soy when it comes to having like tofu and other forms of soy. I'm not totally against it. I would just say for us, it's a decision that we made because in some cases it can spike people's estrogen levels, soy can. And yes, so many of our crops of soy are genetically modified. And so we want to make sure that if it is organic, which is not going to be genetically modified, that you just choose wisely, that if you're getting organic tofu and things like that, it's just a choice that we made to avoid the soy. And so it's one that's on our list of avoid. But yeah, absolutely go organic, go organic.
Great. So the next question is part of the hot button issue that I talked about at the beginning regarding advice for nutrition from prostate cancer professionals, especially doctors. Mm-hmm. And so going around right now, and this is from Howard, doctors push the Mediterranean diet. Mm-hmm. So he would like to know from you, Ken, what's your take on it?
I think if it's a clean Mediterranean diet, and what I mean by clean is that it's not too loaded with, because there's Mediterranean diets. There's places you can go that they deep fry things, and they're also back in the kitchen. Know your kitchen. If you go out to a restaurant, a Mediterranean type of diet or an Italian restaurant, go out, ask them what kind of oil they're using. And they may say, oh, but we're putting a plate of olive oil here on your table. But that doesn't mean that they're not cooking or frying things in the back with canola oil. So know where it's coming from. There are a lot that are pushing the Mediterranean diet, and for a good reason. But if you go to the Mediterranean and you see their diet, it's far from what a lot of our Mediterranean here is. And so a lot of it has to do with the tomatoes and the lycopene, like I mentioned, and cleaner eating. And so I'm not putting it down at all. I married an Italian, so for gosh sakes, we're going to be incorporating that kind of a diet into our life, but we're going to make sure it's clean. And that's even if we go out, we ask questions. And if they're not sauteing or doing something with some either a little bit of olive oil or another oil, coconut oil or something like that, then we would ask them to please do that if they're using canola. And if it came down to that, we usually avoid going out most of the time anywhere, but not everybody's going to avoid that. But just choose wisely. That's what I would say. But absolutely, the Mediterranean diet is a healthier choice.
Yeah, and I have to actually add to that. I was in a vegan restaurant in New York several months ago, and I asked for the chef, and I asked them what kind of oil they used for one of their dishes, which was supposedly incredibly healthy, and they told me canola oil, and that the end of story.
Yeah.
So it can know your, as Ken said, ask your questions, wherever you are. So
Yeah.
From Ian Greenberg, there are many supplements especially for prostate health. So what do you have any recommendations? Do you have any thoughts about food supplement, for supplements for any health issue?
Well, there's a number of things that we recommend to keep our prostate healthy, to keep our colon healthy, to keep our digestive tract healthy overall, especially keeping the liver healthy. And that has to do, and I can only speak to what we incorporate really here. I'm not going to, try to promote any kind of supplements other than there are some tinctures, such as cat's claw, which can be very beneficial for the body in killing pathogens. But what we mostly do is we start our day, or at least in the afternoon, we have our cocktail. And our cocktail is not alcoholic, it's celery juice. And it is pure celery juice. And we have 16 to 20 ounces of celery juice almost every day. We take a break once in a while, but for the most part, it's almost every day. It helps our digestive tract. It helps keep our colon clean. There's so many things. This is without the pulp. Now, celery on its own is fantastic for us, but the celery juice and the cluster salts that are in the celery are amazing for the liver, amazing for our hydrochloric acid and building up our hydrochloric acid for better digestion. It's amazing for our bile production. It is fantastic for killing pathogens and helping the body remove toxins, especially the rotting proteins and rancid fats that sit in the bottom of our stomachs and in our intestines. It flushes that out. So people that have bloating issues, it will flush that out as well. So having celery juice on a daily basis without anything added to it, don't add a lemon, don't add cucumber or things like that. I highly recommend it on its own. The only exception would be to maybe add some parsley if you wanted to change the flavor profile a little bit. But it's incredible how good we feel. And it's a great way for our immune system to stay very healthy. So as far as supplements, yes, there are some that we will take. Sometimes we take some zinc. We definitely D3. We also, we do about 2,000 IUs of D3 each day. We also incorporate some cat's claw as well. And so there are some different supplements that we use in our regime, but mostly it comes from the food and it's coming from some of the juices.
Ken, can you mention the name of your book again? And I'm going to put it in the chat.
Yeah, My Sacred Kitchen is this one, My Sacred Kitchen, and then Clean Green Eating, which is available on Amazon. You can see them on the homepage of Keller University as well. I also have a website which is myname.com, so it's not myname.com, but it's kendor.com, and it's also on there as well. And that's where I do consulting with people as well. So it's available on both of those. Yeah.
Great, thank you. I've been multitasking a lot, so I'm not sure if you answered this. Alan Levinson is basically, obviously bringing up the issue that there's such a controversy on soy, and it's so endless. And so he's asking why you suggest not eating. I'm not sure if you answered this.
Yeah, I pretty much talked on that, and that's been our choice, is to not have soy, and for good reason. And I won't go into all the details, but since there is so much genetically modified, and also because it's such a hot topic, we just want to avoid it. Look, there are some issues with it, and even though you may have organic, for me personally, there are issues. I'm not speaking for the industry. I'm not speaking for anybody out here. I just would say, for me, it's a personal choice. And since we discovered PumFu, which is organic pumpkin seeds and water, that's it, 2 ingredients. It's amazing. It's amazing. We saute shiitake mushrooms, PumFu, and onions, and we'll put those into a rice dish, or we'll put them over a homemade veggie burger, or I just can't tell you how amazing and delicious that is. And so that's a choice that we made, and we love it. We like supporting the company. Look, it comes down to two. If you are supporting these new products that are clean and organic and are coming up with very few ingredients, and you support them, they're going to stay on the shelf. If you don't, and you go back and you continue with ones that may or may not be that healthy for you, they're going to stay on the shelf, and they're not going to give the room to the ones that are clean and coming up. And so we do support some of them because we believe in it. It's delicious. We use it in our own lifestyle, and I suggest it sometimes to people, and they love it. They come back saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad because I gave up soy, but I thought I had to give up tofu forever, and now I'm trying something completely different and healthy for me." So anyway, hopefully that answers enough of that.
Thank you, Ken.
Yeah.
Sorry for the repetition if there was.
That's okay.
Jeff McLennan on our board would like to know if you have any, if there are any organizations that you feel we can trust more than others in terms of their organic products.
There are. You'll have to do some research on it. I like this company Foodies that has the Pumfu. I also like Jovial when it comes to the pastas. We make a lot of our own sauces. We make our own pesto as well. And so you have to kind of do some research because, again, read the labels, because there are certain products that come out and you may say, it says vegan's a big word being pushed around a lot now too. And it may say vegan and it doesn't have any dairy or any meat or any butter or anything like that in it. But then take a look at what's in the vegan. You know, are they using canola oil? Because that could be considered vegan. And so read the ingredients in it. If it's clean ingredients and it's all organic, personally, now again, nobody take this, you know, as an attack on the industry. But if you see on that list of ingredients in let's say a packaged food, if you see natural flavoring, please run. No, I'm just kidding. But please take note that in many cases, what that means is MSG, that it may have all kinds of other things. Now, I'm not saying that about all of them, but it's true that ones that are clean products that I like to support will say natural flavoring, and then in parentheses they put oregano, basil, or different things, natural flavorings that are in that. If they are above line, they're going to actually list what their natural flavorings are, not just a blanket, oh, and natural flavorings. Just take that as that could be MSG. That is such a large blanket on there. So anyway, I'm not sure if I got off topic there, what the question was, but hopefully that helped.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Any fermented foods, for me and Greenberg, any fermented foods you recommend?
Well, some sauerkraut, a little bit for flavor here and there. We don't use a lot of fermented foods in our diet for a few reasons. One is that we incorporate a lot of living food. And when it comes to your microbiome or your flora and feeding off of food, your microbiome, now, I'm not saying this to get in trouble for this. And the same thing would happen if I was to say, look, do not disregard Western medicine. In emergency situations, absolutely, but preventative, absolutely, when it comes to if you can prevent having to go to the hospital, which I've had to do, and they saved my life. So I'm not against that. But when it comes to, you know, say the question again one more time.
Which fermented foods do you recommend?
When it comes to fermented foods, we don't eat a lot of fermented foods. Sometimes we'll have a little bit of kimchi or some sauerkraut. I don't make, and sometimes we'll make some fermented cheeses a little bit. We have a macadamia nut tree in our front yard. So we will sometimes harvest and make some macadamia nut cheese and flavor that. It's not heavily fermented. But when it comes to your flora and your microbiome, fermented foods, your flora and your microbiome will feed much better off living foods such as sprouts and microgreens and leafy greens than it ever will off of rotting food. Now, I know that sounds harsh, but when you have your sauerkrauts and things like that, I'm not putting that down, but for flavor and stuff in moderation, fine. But don't expect your flora to always be thriving off of fermented foods. It's not a panacea, or it's not to placate the fact that your gut flora feeds off just fermenting foods. It doesn't. It feeds off of the elevated biotics, the bacteria that is on sprouts and microgreens. And if you get more of those in there, your B12 levels can rise, your flora can rise and be healthy. That's living food, and your flora feeds off living food much more than it does fermented food. So I'm not against fermented foods at all. And for flavor, once in a while, we do have some, but I'm not a proponent in my life, or in our life, to keep making sauerkrauts and things like that here at home. So with that being said, we're very much into raw living food to feed our flora, and our flora thrives. So
thank you, Ken. And
yeah.
Jeff, I just see that you're back. I just want you to know that Ken answered your question about the organizations, the organic food. So
As best I could.
I'll clue you in later.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, moving on here. Bill Wood from Oakville, Ontario would like to know, what is your opinion of tea and coffee?
Hi, Bill. I'm totally into teas, herbal teas. I'm not a huge proponent of caffeine. And the main reason is our adrenals and what has been happening with these energy drinks and caffeine and coffees and all these kinds of ways to elevate and really burn out our adrenals in many cases. There's so much caffeine going around. So I'm not a huge proponent of caffeine or coffees. There are substitutes. There are things like Ticino, which is organic. A dark roast Ticino made from different roots and things. And there are other ones out there that are clean and organic. You want to look for organic for sure, that can satisfy you. But again, we're not looking for a high off of the caffeine in coffee. Now, I know some of you listening are probably coffee aficionados and you love your coffee. Again, organic, maybe waterpress if you're having decaf, whatever, but make sure that it's clean. If you are having coffee, and try to limit it. This is not something that we incorporate into our life, but we do like that mocha or that coffee flavor or that taste. And so it is the Ticinos, the Maya nut. Those are some options, and those are things that we do incorporate. In an afternoon sort of semi coffee. But for the most part, everything we have is herbal. And so that's why in the beginning I was holding this up, because I think having herbal sun teas and having herbal teas can be fantastic. Again, because for a number of reasons, they will kill pathogens. They can also help, certain herbs can help pull heavy metals. And just overall, your body responds very well to, and it keeps you hydrated and that kind of thing. Coffees in general can dehydrate you. And we are living in a environment or a society that is extremely dehydrated in many cases. And so having too much caffeine or having coffee might be, if you're having too much of it, it might be detrimental. So we just eliminate it. It makes it much easier for us to stay healthy.
Thank you. And, we're going to soon wrap up. So if you have any last minute questions, please get them in the chat box. I want to welcome someone who I met in a Facebook group on prostate cancer. She is the maven of plant food based cooking and posts incredible photos of her dishes. Her name is Betty, and Betty would like to know from you, Ken, what about beans? Because she eats them daily.
Which
beans? How do you feel about
beans? I feel good about beans, even sprouted beans, or even if they're not cooked beans, but organic, absolutely. But I think beans could be a good source of protein. It's also a source of starch. Proper food combining would say not to combine your proteins with your starches, although if you are sprouting the beans first, then that kind of changes it, because they become a sprout and you can mix your proteins with it. But beans in general, absolutely. Yeah, we use beans, not a lot, but we use beans in our diet. Yeah. We have our Tuesday tacos. which are gluten-free made from cassava root, hard taco shells. And we just lay out a whole spread and everybody makes their own tacos with it. And we have beans and always organic and things like that. So I'm not against beans at all. I think they can be a good source of protein and a good source of food.
Well, thank you. As for me, in taking on a lot of what you have taught, when I came home to New York, I went full hog. I bought a dehydrator so that I could, make incredible seed crackers, and I bought my Champion juicer. I wanted to ask you, there's a in my research, in my 4 years of research about nutrition for prostate cancer in particular, I came across these two major protocols, which was the Hippocrates, which is adopted at Ojai, and also the Gerson Institute, which you obviously know of, and you know of some of the difference in juicing. In fact, in Gerson, they encourage a lot of carrot juicing, and I think I once asked you, about that. Can you, do you have any remarks to make about, not necessarily recommendations or criticisms, but, just the, for prostate health, in your experience, the differences in the two protocols?
Well, the two protocols are similar on many levels, although Gerson does allow for some cooked in it, like some cooked beets, slow cooked and things like that. And then, like you said, having carrot juice, I went through the Gerson Institute, through their program, and it definitely has its place, and I applaud them, and has had amazing results. They also have doctors on staff and things like that. And so it's a different type of approach, but it is all plant-based. And then I would say that the Optimum Health Institute, which has adopted the Hippocrates and the wheatgrass, some people call it wheatgrass boot camp, but it is using wheatgrass also to help detoxify the body, and even through colon cleansing as well. And so not that Gerson doesn't have colon cleansing, they offer that as well. So there's a lot of similarities to the two of them. One of them far more expensive than the other. The Optimum Health Institute is much more, I don't want to say reasonable, but because you do get, it is a great price compared to the other. But I would say that for what you're getting for that amount of money, it's hands down amazing, because at the Optimum Health, because you're getting 42 or 43 different classes. And these classes range from, digestion and the systems of the body, of elimination and toning. And it's very well-rounded when it comes to the body, the mind, and the spirit. Not preaching spirit of any kind of religion. We don't do any of that there, but we allow the body to cleanse during this 3-week program. And we also allow for people to calm the mind and learn tools. And that's the point. And when I went through the Gerson, yes, there were some talks, but it was nothing like the education that you get. And now I'm big on the education. And nothing like the education that we got, not only from also fellow participants, but from the instructors there. And that resonated far more for me. But I applaud them both for what they're doing in this world, and to help, people with every kind of health opportunity, to help them heal. And like I said before, you can't force someone to comprehend a message that they're not yet ready to receive. But still, never underestimate the power of planting a seed.
Thank you, Ken.
Yeah,
I want to invite David King Keller to unmute himself. He has a question in the chat box, but he's a newly esteemed member of our team at ASPE, and I would love him to ask you his question and give any comments live. So, Hi, David. Welcome to Florida.
Okay, can you hear me okay, Martin?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, Ken, you're amazing. Oh my gosh. I took 8 pages of notes.
Welcome to my classes. When I teach at OHI, people are like, can you give me more paper? I'm like,
Well, everyone should know that my wife and I have been to OHI and we want to go back.
Yeah.
We're talking about going back very soon, actually. Our bodies are telling us you need to go back.
yeah,
It was such a great experience. I highly recommend OHI, the Optimum Health Institute. Phenomenal people, phenomenal learning, great boost in health. So thank you. What a great representation you are of
thank
that
you.
lifestyle. I know I didn't want to add any more questions because you did such a fabulous job. And if you wanted me to ask another question, I would say, how's your heart rate today? You started off at 210 over 110.
Yeah, so I'm totally normal now, and I swim like 4 times a week. I calm myself. It's just my whole lifestyle is different, and my diet, obviously, that's what really prompted so much of the change in my life. And of course, working at OHI doesn't hurt at all either. It's just being surrounded by people, by loving people, and by people that really are open to change and changing their lifestyle, that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm totally normal now, and I did have some heart issues. And that's something that I thank the medical industry for helping me out on, but that was my message. Yeah. What foods can I eat to keep my heart healthy and to reverse some of the issues that they were seeing? And that has helped tremendously. So I mentioned those foods already in the talk. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
There's one topic I don't know that we touched on directly, and that is this whole alkaline movement. Drink alkaline water or do.
Yeah.
Any thoughts about that? I don't have an opinion. I just hear about it like, oh my God, I should learn more. But
yeah,
do I need to learn more?
Yeah, I don't want to get myself in trouble because there's a lot of people out there that believe that, the higher the alkaline or at least certain numbers of alkalinity. I believe in what the earth puts out as well. And so a lot of times springs and certain things might be higher in alkalinity, 7.8, 8, 8.0 or whatever. And I think that that's more natural. But ones that are trying to, with these ionizers or with these machines to be able, with the plates in them, to be able to raise their alkalinity water and raise it too high, I think that can be harmful to the body because then the body has to search and pull certain minerals and things from the bones and from other places to balance the body. I don't think that's as balancing. So, research it, I would say to people, but what we serve as our purified water at OHI is in the same alkalinity level as our blood. 7.35 or something like that. And so we serve, water that is more balanced alkalinity. So, I can't really speak on one side or the other. I had an ionizer for a while, and I was having alkalized water, but I sold it. I just really didn't feel that was right for me. So, each person has to, choose that on their own. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you. It's great. What's your favorite protein now? Or do you have a favorite protein, or do you have like 3 or 4 or 5 that you just love?
Well, if you look at the Game Changers, the documentary, our favorite protein right now, besides the pumfu and maybe some jackfruit and some other things, no, they aren't super high in protein, but we find that just having a diet that's high in sprouts, especially sunflower sprouts, they are a complete protein. They will help your skeletal, your muscles. They help, just every part of your neurological as well. So sunflower sprouts, a lot of people don't know it, but they are one of the best microgreens that if you can get them at a farmer's market or grow them yourself and start incorporating the sunflower sprouts into your diet, incredible for building muscle. And so, between fruits and vegetables and things, we get plenty of protein.
Okay. Yeah. Ken, you're marvelous. God bless you. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. All right.
So
thank you all. Want to thank everyone.
Ken, thank you again. Before we we'll have some closing remarks. I want to thank you again, and thank our entire board: Jeff McLennan, Joe Gallo, Bill Manning, our esteemed leader Mark Throne who's here from Iceland, and our entire program committee for basically being willing to have you give us your knowledge, your wisdom, and share it with us. And we all wish you an incredible rest of your journey.
Thank you.
And your new start in Italy. I'm very jealous. May come visit.
Yes, please.
And Mark, take it away.
Thank you, Ken. This was outstanding. Your humility, your manner, and your knowledge of the information is just outstanding. We are grateful
Thank
to
you.
you, Martin. We're grateful to you for making this connection. Thank you so much for that. And I have a garden full of kale, Ken, and so now I have to visit Kale University, so I'll know
There you
what to
go.
do with all of my kale.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to remind all of you on the call still that next meeting will be in about another month. We'll give you notice of it, but it's going to be on the Swedish experience, which is kind of leading the way on active surveillance. So that should be a fascinating webinar. And again, I want to thank everyone who's been on the call and stuck with us